All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Bookmap OM stream. Thursdays at 1 o'clock. A little bit of craziness going on today. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to start off with the disclaimer here real quick. Material information and presentation is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and should not be considered specific investment advice or recommendations. Any and all statements made on this channel are the sole opinions of Options Millionaire channel and should not be taken as financial advice. No decision should be made based on the materials shown here on this channel. Equities, options, and trading futures involve substantial risk of loss and not suitable for all investors. Any investor could potentially lose all or more of the initial investment. Risk capital is money that can be lost without jeopardizing one financial security nor lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Trading is one of the riskiest and most difficult tasks one can undertake. It must be approached with extreme caution. Do not invest any money you can't afford to lose. Very cool. Well, welcome. A little bit of shaking and baking here as we are starting off the stream with some downwards action. And so far it's bottom wicking, so there's still some buyers in this market right here. 41.50 is the liquidity we just transacted. So this week has been a beautiful week for Bookmap and the order flow because it's been pretty on key for the most part of showing where this market wants to go. And right now it's got 41.65 on top, but if you notice, they're starting to fill in liquidity lower, 41.40, 41.30 down here. They just put on right there, right before the dip, 41.50, which we just transacted. And they chased the bids down here. So you see them, they moved the bids down, shifted lower, and we've got this iceberg that just filled right at 41.50. By the way, if you are on Bookmap, you should be seeing the Bookmap application being streamed in the Discord. So let me know if you cannot see that. Did you catch any of that Nvidia move? I did not. So I was a little peanut butter and jelly this morning, waking up to Nvidia being up 30%. I didn't catch any of it. I didn't play it. So currently 41.50. If you look over in NASDAQ, it's painting a slightly different picture. They're putting on 39.90, and they still have this 14,000. Now that 14,000 has been the main level all day today. We came up and transacted it, came down, and they immediately put it back on. Now look what happens here on this way up. If you're tracking NASDAQ and you're tracking the order book right here, as we were coming up, you saw them pile into the liquidity higher. Bam, 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 all the way up, which is a much different picture than what the S&P placed today. I mean, even right now, the NASDAQ is up 2.4%, while the S&P is up 0.6%. That's one of the biggest discrepancies I've seen between the two indexes in a long time, probably a couple of years. Just because of 4 of the big tech stocks are up, whereas the rest of them are either flat or red. In fact, most of the X sectors now are red and is showing significant sell pressure, and even now as we speak, ES is dropping back off. But on the way up, you saw a clear bullish sentiment here as they're piling in liquidity higher. They removed liquidity lower, taken off, and they're starting to drive through absorbed, and they had this 14,000 that transacted immediately, put right back on. So transacted, boom, the order flow came right back on. That tells me there's still an appetite for 14,000 because even after the initial transaction, which was there all day and strong, it was the biggest level on the chart, they immediately put it back on. So thinking about this the way I think about it, in terms of, yes, Bookmap is visual, but I think about it in level 2. I think about it, how does this represent the order flow in the market based on level 2, which is just numbers. And that's just order flow. And the order flow is still pinned for 14,000, and now they're putting on 13,990, as well as maintain this 950. So pinging back here, probably track 1960 here, 960. Down south, they got a little bit coming on 910. And ES is smack dab in the middle of its range at 41.48, right here. So I typically don't like to trade in the middle of the day's ranges. I like to trade at the exteriors, or if something obvious comes on before that actually occurs. And you see that we came up this morning, rejected R1, which is a significant level. We came down and bounced now on a macro scale 1, 2, 3 times at S2. If you track this on the 15-minute, you see on these are 15-minute candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times off of S3 we have bounced. 8 times if you count pre-market, which is also the 41.40 level on a significant level. And here we are, morning, morning high, morning low, we are smack dab in the middle. So there's been a lot of top wicks, bottom wicks right in this area. That's why I'm not getting too crazy on playing these breakouts until I reach one of the side or the other, at least on the S&P. And Bookmap here, obviously, we are now kind of straddled in between 65 and 40 on ES, smack dab in the middle with no real liquidity inside. What's up, Gus? How you doing? Got that jet ski money. Love you. Awesome. Well done. Well done. So NASDAQ up here at 14,000. The big old 14,000. Even Nvidia now is still hanging out at 387, not wanting to come off. It did have that morning sell-off just like everything else, but bought back up. And mainly what I'm looking for is volume to tell the tale. Because now that we've got Nvidia out of the way, all we have core PCE tomorrow, which is going to be a market mover, maybe not a big market mover, but it'll bring in some volatility and some movement. But tomorrow the bond market closes early, and we've got a 3-day weekend. The market is closed on Monday. So I do expect a little choppiness late half of the day tomorrow, just because the bond market's closed. It's probably going to be a pin of a day. I don't know if all the volatility is left in the market. I know everyone's kind of looking for either 4,200 or 4,100 here, but a good possibility that we pin in this range plus or minus 20 points into the end of the day tomorrow, into this 41.40. I mean, it's the same thing we've been doing for 2 months. So if I want to start playing breakouts or breakups or breakdowns, I need to see volume to really give me some conviction, and I need to see the book start to give me confidence in that move. Because look at that, they just shifted 14,000 down. Look at that, they just took that level and they brought it down to here, shifting down. Let me give you a little line here. Bam. So once again, they're starting to chase the bid lower here, which is not good for upside. When I start to see them trying to bring this liquidity down, I'm not looking for this thing to rocket up like that. It's just not what I want to see for this. It's good to sell calls on my AI stocks then. If you talk about sell to close, of course I'd be taking profit on this kind of a move. If you're talking about writing premium, then that's cautious. That's cautious. It's very, you get into muddy territory when you start talking about writing premium on calls for stocks that for the past 6-7 months have been on rocket ships. Because when does the rocket ship start to run out of fuel? I guarantee you there's a lot of people holding puts on Nvidia right now that wish they hadn't taken them. $14,000 put back on. Look at that, right on. So again, they're still kind of spoof that liquidity shift there. They still have 13,960 on. 950 is lower. Let's take a look. Oil. Oil is something I've been trading a lot this week. 74 was my main target. We already rejected that, came down. We still have 75 liquidity. 74 put on here too with a block at 72 as oil's been kind of tight for the past hour or so. Hour, 2 hours. But ES is definitely pin flat right here. Definitely pin flat, not pin fat. So the best trade is no trade for me here. I'm waiting for the next opportunity. I'm going to watch liquidity, see if they stack the book higher or skew the book lower. I'm going to look for volume on the 15-minute chart over here to see if I have any indication to go long or go short. Right now, what we have is clear indications of hitting supply. How do I know that? Let me change this to yellow. We have a top wick reverse hammer right there under increased volume. This is the 15-minute chart, mind you. Top wick with increased volume. Again, as well, over here. Another increased volume with a top wick right here, sell off. So that tells you that every time we come into this area, which is about 414.5, there is a clear supply right here. Not to mention this morning, which is the obvious, major spike in red volume here at the opening candle as we rejected this area. So right up in this area, this zone is clear supply. So I'm not going to get too hung up on longing through this zone up to R1 and beyond until I see what's called a low volume test. Now there's a couple of things going for you if you are long and looking to go up, or if you're waiting to go long, either one. One is that we have these higher lows right here. So the sellers are drying up. The sellers aren't following through with every one of these retracements here. So that's one. And this is what I mean. I'll bring this over here. So that's one. So what I really need to see here to continue on, if I want to play a breakout to R1 and beyond, is I need to see this candle or any other run up into this zone, hold it, and do not see a spike in volume. That's called a low volume test. I do not want to see a spike in volume coming up inside this area. The reason being, areas of historical selling will induce a high volume spike as sellers hit this and then bring it back lower. I do not want to see that. I want to see low volume showing me that we have now climbed into supply. The sellers that have been there have now dried up and moved away. And the buyers will just kind of mosey on up on light to medium volume on buy volume. Now, once we are above this, so what I expect to see, if I do see a bullish confirmation here and we go higher, what I would want to see is the price action climb, slight retracement, retest the area. Now on the retest, now it's okay to see volume on the pull away. So from a volume standpoint, dropping volume as we get through the area, come on back down to retest. And on the retest, if buyers step in and hammer it on higher volume, now that the pull away volume with a spike is good. But I do not want to see high volume as we're coming into supply with the top wick. That tells me sellers are there. And that's just a good VPA lesson in trying to identify when moves are going to be made and where moves are going to be made. And then I tie into the fact that if I'm looking at Bookmap here, I want to see volume stacked higher. And if we're coming to one of those late day gamma rallies, I'd love to see a little, a little standalone 4180, 4185 up here be popped up. Kind of like one of these levels show up at 4185 that kind of makes our ears perk up and be like, oh, there we go. There we go. White House Live, they're talking right now. Apparently there's a press briefing today by the press secretary. Like 40, 50 on NASDAQ. There's 4,000 right here. Let's take a look up there. Yeah, absolutely. Like 4,050. Like one of these rogue levels that's up here. That was put on, when was that put on? 12:50 Eastern time. So about 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, that was put on. That's a beautiful level. And that's what I'll be looking to break 14,000 when I start to see stuff like this. Now, on the same time, I want to make sure I'm doing my due diligence. It's 111 orders. I want to look lower to make sure they're not doing the same down south. And I don't see any outlier moves like that of the same magnitude or of the same management. Now, me personally, I currently have an iron condor on for the week. It's doing very well right now. I'm hoping. Right now, the charts are set up for both of these legs to expire 100% worthless. It doesn't happen very often that I can do that. But if we get a late day rally up here and give me even more room in between my short legs, then I'd be a lot more comfortable holding this thing into tomorrow and just letting it coast and expire worthless and collect all that premium, baby. 13,990 here. Looks like we're coming back up. ES bounced back up from 47 to 54 to reclaim this, and you see a little bit more liquidity coming in here. If you really want to get bullish, I want to see them take off 4140, stack on this, and really skew the book to the upside, and that'll start making us go long here. But yeah, keep an eye on that 14,050 on the NASDAQ. Right now, just kind of chilling. Nothing all that crazy here. 4156 buying up there. NASDAQ looking like it absorbed 87. ES. That's a lot bigger move on the ES than NASDAQ. NASDAQ is kind of lagging on this particular move up. Microsoft is creeping up. Amazon's not going. Apple's coming up. VIX is starting to come off there. That's another conversation there too. So in terms of VIX, If I want to see a breakage of 60, 4160, and head above into the 70s, I need to see the VIX start to get a little slippery here and start to fade. If they make a bigger move down on the VIX, then that'll be a tailwind, and we'll have that late day break upwards into the 4070, 4170, and then 14050 on the old NASDAQ here. A lot of things to consider. That's why market awareness is such a crucial part of my system, is that if you can monitor all these things, you can get your little tip into when to jump in. $13,898 or 989. Let's see, 4160. NASDAQ looks like it's about to take out this baby, which is 989. We'll see. Let me reach over to the charts here. Here we go. TLT is coming back off 100. That's a new low of the day on the bonds. What are the yields doing today? Yields are up. Man, I didn't notice that. The 2 years are back up to 4.47. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, so here we go. We're right up against this 990 level. So I'll be looking for a green bubble, absorption, and this will be another attack on 14,000. If we take out 14,000 with this price action, this may be the move to bring us up over 14 into the 14,050 level. But we got to absorb this first. Right now we still haven't absorbed 990 yet. With the yields being so strong today, and especially with tech coming up like this, it's a little weird. It's a little weird. Keep an eye on it. Let's see. Still can't get through that liquidity there at 990. ES here. Let me take a look. 4156. Let's see if they can reattack. ES still up against the same level, 4160. NASDAQ attempted for 13,990, but fading off of it, you see it. Overall, we're only talking about consolidation here, looking for a breakout of consolidation. There's another reattack. They are stacking on right here. Like I said, 13,990 and 14,000 are stacking on there. The bulls now, here's another attempt. If they can absorb it, watch this green bubble. This one may do it. I think it's going to do it. Watch this. Big old green. Transact through, and we'll make an attack on 14,000. Right up there. To confirm this move to the upside, you want to see a low volume on the move up. I don't think I understand that low volume move. I want to see him enter. If you're looking for the longer term play of breaking through this 4160 area, which is now rejected several times today, you want to see a move into that area with no volume spike or top wick. So that's the indication that there's no supply there. Because if there is supply there and the sellers hit it again, you're going to have a spike in volume and you're going to have a decent top wick. And if you see that, that's not the time to go long. What you want to see is lower volume. So we creep in or through that supply, showing that there's no sellers there, no spike in volume. And then once you get through there, and then the buyers start to hit, realizing that there's no supply, then you'll see a small volume spike once you're above the area. And that's that breakaway volume you need to see. Another attempt at 13,990 and another failure by the bulls. But what kind of bulls do we have here? Do we have the 1983 bulls or do we have the 1992 bulls? We'll see. Or the 98 bulls. I full ported on Nvidia puts today and lost 85% of my account. I apologize. That's rough. It's rough. Don't ever full port, and surely do not play those type of positions. All earnings plays should be played with very small position sizing, incredibly small position sizing. I'm sure some millionaires were made today because they did risk a lot of their port on calls and made it, but that's you might as well be on same odds as going to a roulette wheel and placing all your money on a roulette wheel. Earnings calls are ridiculous. New Gen Bull scared to break. Yeah. Have I considered doing small gigs as a voice actor? Sometimes I'm here just to hear your soothing voice. I don't know. It's a good question. Haven't considered it. Jabronis. 13,980. Rejecting off of 990 here. It's a little 10-point move down. Still can't break through that supply. I don't even know how to go about doing that. ES is still green. A little bit of red down. Rejection. Got so close to filling 990 but couldn't do it. Google Maps voiceover. There you go. I'll Bing it. Hold on. I'll Bing how to be a voice actor. All right, so we're still chopping here. We don't really have any more catalyst today to bank on. We do have some stuff the Fed reserves after the market's closed. And of course, tomorrow we have PCE core, which should provide some morning volatility followed by some afternoon boringness. Another test right here. See? If you're watching this stuff, right here, these moves down by the bears are getting weaker and weaker. So the bulls are still holding on to the title here. Once we transact 39.90, that might give the breakout oomph to get through 14,000 and make our move up to 14,050, which would be muy caliente. When you finish your book, get that Audible money. Yeah. So it should be, my goal is to get the book wrapped up by the summer, end of the summer. And that way we'll get that into production. And by the time, hopefully, I don't know how that process works, I'm still looking into it, is by the time we have the next OM conference, I'll get that ready and I'll bring copies. And that'll be part of the ticket, is you get a book copy. We'll see. Was the famous GameStop squeeze as big as Nvidia's pump? Even bigger. GameStop went from $2 to like $600 in the course of 6 months. It went from July until January. 13,984. It was extraordinary. And then of course that 1 week rally it went on, that's when it went from 17 to way up there. I doubt we'll ever see anything like GameStop ever again in terms of the way it happened and on a bigger name like that. Short, small stocks, small cap stuff, possibly we'll see it again. In fact, I guarantee we'll see it again. But in terms of GameStop like that, it was extraordinary. All right, there's another attempt at 13,990. Still can't do it. Watch this candle hold though. They did add a little. Oh no, they took it off right as it started to say that. They're still managing here. 984. Can we get to 990? Watch for 990 to 14,000. Nvidia had the biggest earnings of all time. Yeah, so not only did they beat by like 20%, they also, their forward-looking guidance was 11 billion, so extraordinarily high forward-looking guidance as well, which 30 points, 30% up on the stock price. Another attempt, still can't break through it. Here's 13,990. Watching for volume here. Watching for volume. Here's another move. Boom. There it is. Kapowie. Right to 13,990. Can it hold, though? If you have an immediate top wick, that's no bueno. This candle needs to hold to get into and through the supply. Here is a high of the day test on the S&P as well. Uh-oh, they're putting on lower liquidity. They're putting on lower liquidity. Not what you want to see. 975 liquidity. I think, bam, ES just broke high of the day right there. The financial sector, who has been a thorn in the side of the market today, is now recovering. If that happens, now the S&P will test out the 4170 areas. Coming up, 990, 75, 91. Bam. Yeah, definitely all about games. Yeah. 11 billion. Still top wicking off 93. B to the You're crazy. So that is a new high of the day on the S&P. That's a new official high of the day. NASDAQ not quite yet, although they did put a new high in about an hour ago. Liquidity there wiped at 990. Which was great because we saw that as we were coming on down here to 970, 960, they put on this thing up here at 990, came up, transacted it, and now look what they did. The second they put that on, we saw this liquidity shift down lower. Again, not what I'm looking for. I don't want to see major liquidity shift lower on a move up. That's counter. Trader J. Do you think we'll see such a big pump anytime soon on big caps as we had on NVIDIA? Not without some sort of catalyst. Now, the AI is it's changing the game. If you talk to people in the industry, it's changing the game. And obviously, today we've got Microsoft, we've got Google, we've got Meta, all sympathy plays because those are technology-related companies, and if they start to infiltrate with AI, you're going to see the same types of pumps in there. But now, who's to know that we're going to have a 30% pump like we did in NVIDIA? I mean, that's just egregious. And a lot of people who said there's no way NVIDIA can go higher woke up today with a nightmare because it did in fact go higher, and it went higher to a massive degree. So who's to say how high the AI goes? You know, I'm not a visionary with tech, so, you know, is AI really going to change the game as much to make all of the tech stocks do that? If it is, we'll see it in the next earnings reports, which they just reported, so we won't see that until 3 months from now, the next quarter. Who knows? You know, I don't want to get in the habit of, in terms of this style of trading, I don't like to get in the habit of doing that. Now, my long-term holdings love it. I'm not holding NVIDIA in my long-terms, but I am holding the others in my long-term port. And it's been awesome because I questioned my decision not to liquidate my long-term portfolio pretty much all throughout 2022, and it turned out to be a pretty dang good decision because we're having this nice little bounce back up here. Just wished I would have added NVIDIA. All right, now we're coming up 993 up to 14,000. 4162 is holding on ES. NASDAQ is popping higher here too. To here. I want to keep a close eye on this baby right here. There's a couple of things I want to look for. Added management liquidity and this guy right here. ES is 4162.50, holding at high of the day. Let me come over to ES here. They're adding higher here too. So remember what we talked about? Now they're adding 4180 right there. There's an iceberg sitting here, smaller one. They got 4165 and 4180. By the way, if you are listening and you are holding a PCS, now is a fantastic time to take some profit. Our PCSs are now profitable by about 60%. I'm going to hold mine unless we see some crazy sell-off this afternoon. I'm going to hold mine. What was the latest stock that had such a move, though? On a single day, I'd probably say Netflix. Now, over the course of a couple of months, I mean, Facebook had a fantastic rally off the bottom. Yeah, Facebook had a couple of gap downs, and then on October they recovered, and now look where they are. They're crazy high up. But I know Netflix had a couple of major 27, 28% moves, 25% moves in a single day, although they were down, not up. But still, quite an awesome, quite an incredible move. Watch them wipe out that 4163. NASDAQ is coming up here. Here's testing 14,000 again. This will be the second test. It's right here. So flip it over on NASDAQ, eating this upwards. The volume is still low. We're not seeing a spike in volume. I'm going to track the 5 and the 15. And the 5 will be the first indication of volume spike, and then I'll flip over to the 15. And so far, we're kind of creeping up with no volume spike or any top wick. So this is a nice little move. Now they are shifting that 975 upwards to 8 and taking it off though. Now they've got 1410 on. CVD is still upwards and going, 8,000 green. Top wick right off the prior high of the day for NASDAQ, which is about 14,000. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Right off of it. Right off 14,000 again, dumped it. So, Grasshopper, to answer your question, that's a high volume spike with a top wick into supply. Which tells me, what question does that answer? Let's go over to NASDAQ. What question does that answer for me? Where'd it go? There's my NASDAQ. Areas of prior selling, still there. So, see that? So top wick off of high volume spike. Now this is just 5 minutes. So now that I see this, I will flip back and forth between the 5, which is this chart, and the 15 minute. And I'll look for a volume spike. So that'll be it. This is why you want to be very careful chasing the breakouts. What I would rather do, if I'm going to play long here, what I would rather do is let it break out, let it retrace, and then buy this area right here. Right here. That's where I want to buy. You do not want to play breakouts because of that right there. You still have supply here, especially on the second touch. This is 14,000, which we've already rejected once. You're not going to break out at 14,000 on the second touch. You have to absorb people that are weak positions, because what happens here? Right at 14,000, you get all these retail jabronis. Holy crap, we got to go long here, baby. They go long, now they're in a weak position, and they're desperate to get out. So what happens at 14,000? You have people taking profit. You have people getting out of weak positions, desperate to break even, top wicking. Now, if we build that back up and bulls are still in control, cool. We'll play the breakout. If this is, in fact, a trend up afternoon. Let's watch. And then, of course, liquidity. They have now removed this liquidity. They're chasing icebergs lower. The last time we saw this, we did this. The last time today that we saw them chase these icebergs like this downward, that was 3 or 4 icebergs that just came in on the upside chasing them down. We dropped over. Not to mention they did add 980, and then they added 975 and removed this. So keep an eye on this guy up here still. Does the 5 minute on AI look like an inverse head and shoulders to anybody else? Big red candles are on NASDAQ dropping off. See, they're chasing these icebergs lower. That's about a 14-point move on NASDAQ. Still pretty tight. Looking for the bigger move here. Bottom wicking back up. So they're adding 1405 up here. They've got 980 below and 950 below that. Let me flip over to ES real quick. Apple's still red. Yeah, Apple red candle. Yeah. Nvidia is pretty weak. They're only up 26% right now. Huge sell-off from their 27%. Yuck, yuck, yuck. 980 below. So, the ES right here. So these are the levels I'm tracking. The highs and the lows from this morning. And right now we're glued to the high. Right there. Still trickling off on NASDAQ. Wanting to come off there. Possibly. Possibly make a move down to what? 980. We'll see. That would be an excellent time for a big boom. We'll see. We'll see. Need the volume. A little bit of pressure coming in. Not much still moving pretty tight. ES is dropping lower, 41.59. NASDAQ looks like it wants this 980, 7 points down. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. I'm in puts, 41.50 zeros. Nice. Nice. $986, $985. ES is rolling back over here too. Rejection of the high. $41.60.7. VIX is holding 1912 green. Nothing of confidence yet there. 41.65 up top. $41.61. So ES is tracking up to 41.65. NASDAQ is tracking down to this 13.980, at least at the moment. ES just put on a red candle, but immediately bottom wick back up to 62, which is the high of the day. Overall, this is pretty slow stuff. The VIX is still hanging out 19. Ooh, that might be a liquidity grab. Look at that. Look at that. Just packed on 14.010. So what this looks like, did you see the second that put on, this little sell order came in? The second they put this on. So maybe come down, grab 975 base, and then attack 14.010 because they're starting to skew the book. They're starting to skew the book here. That's interesting right there. Liquidity grab lower. Watch out for any kind of major stop runs here. These red dot stops. Watch all those orders. But they put that on there, came down. The second that order came on, they initiated this sell on down to 980. I mentioned a book a while ago on parenting. Do you remember what it was called? Strong Daughter, Strong Father, Strong Daughters. There's two books I read. Raising Men and Strong Daughter, Strong Fathers. But yeah, fantastic books. So they just transacted that 980 to the upside. No major stops just yet. Yeah. ES is 4160. A little bit of green, 982. Creeping back up. Watch this order. So iffy situation here. So what I'm thinking with this piling in the stuff up higher here with that managed liquidity, especially the fact that we're glued to highs and we've been trickling up in highs all day, this looks like liquidity grab lower to start transacting up into the 14,000 range. I don't know if they'll go for the 975 or not. They obviously transacted the 980, but that's what this looks like. Liquidity grab to go higher, especially with the bottom wicks I'm seeing on the S&P right now. Has two major bottom wicks on the S&P. In fact, they just flipped that red candle green, and it looks like they're about to do it on the NASDAQ here. Transact that 980, and we'll attack that 14.0. What are the red dots with numbers? Those are the stop indicators. So I'm running the stop loss, the stop iceberg indicator, which is a subchart and on-chart indicator. So these red dots are stops, and the blue dots, which you currently don't see any, are icebergs. And then you have the subchart, which is the lines right here, which represents delta change. A firm. All right, still got 4161. NASDAQ a little bit of bounce off this 13,980 and reattacking. Right here. So far, playing out. Crucial level. We have a bottom wick both on the S&P and the ES. Another liquidity coming in, 14,000 back on. It's the third time they've now transacted and put on 14,000 again, while stacking 1410, while stacking 14.5. Is there anything else higher? Not really, no. This has all the looks of going up to 1410. 1450 would be great. Would be beautiful. Let's see. 1245, 1300's coming up. We got 1300, 1400 Eastern Time coming up. Close enough to 14,415 for puts. Nice. Even more liquidity coming in right there. Oh, they spoofed that 995. Let's see. You're in 616 to 410 puts from here. Nice. Like the move. Like the move. Almost grabbed at 4.6, but I missed the buy. See, it's still holding this right here. Here's a move up to 14,000 again. 989, building back up. ES is still moving too. What does ES have? Still has this 4165. And all I'm doing is tracking the book here with volume. On the bottom left of my screen, which you can't see, I've got the S&P volume. I'm tracking the 5-minute and the 15-minute. And then, of course, on the stream, what you see here is the Bookmap. I'm tracking the flow there. I've got the SPY here, which is coming up just under R1 after holding S3 substantially well. This actually looks like one of those brontosaurus patterns. They do move in herds. Right up here is 14,000 liquidity. What are the green dots? This is actually a representation of volume here. The volume candles. Look, another build back up here to 14,000. ES looks like a bull flag right at the top of the day, and the fact that it's holding the top of the day with no volume spike, what does that tell you? What does that tell you? We're about to make some lemonade, and what do you have to do to lemons before you make lemonade? $13,992. Squeeze. That's right, Gus. You got to squeeze those lemons. All right. Look, 4180. You got 4165, 4180. We have candle still holding at 4162 on ES. We don't have a volume spike, so that tells me the supply that is there is not being transacted yet. It's not hitting yet. VIX is still holding 19. Keep an eye on the VIX. In fact, what I'm going to do is set an alert at the VIX. I'm going to set alert at 1915 on the VIX. Add alert. I'm also going to set an alert at 1897 on the VIX. And that'll give me breakout parameters on the VIX there. So if the VIX starts to break out or down, that'll give me an indication of where this baby wants to go. In addition to everything else, market awareness. I've got Microsoft I'm looking at. I've got Amazon, Apple. Amazon wants no fun at all. Amazon's like, screw you guys. I'm doing my own thing today. ES coming up to 4162. NASDAQ 992 heading for 14,000 once again. Let's see if it could do it. This will be the third test into 14,000 range. The prior two top wicked on increased volume. This will be the third test. If this fails, then I'm looking to go short. This is a decision point for me. If this fails on the third try, I'm looking to go short. Still hanging out. So far, no breakthrough yet. We got 10 minutes left in the stream. If you have questions, let me know. Why do you think the liquidity is still there? Options trader or options millionaire, whichever. Often on such strong move, they remove everything lower. The one thesis is that we still have one more liquidity grab lower before a late day pump, delta pump into 14,000, 14,010. Another theory is that it's just yet to be removed. One last pump up here, they'll take that off and they'll stack higher. The issue here is that they are putting, as we've gone higher, they're putting on 14,000. This is the third time. Now they're even stacking 14,005. They've already stacked 14,10. So there's a lot of motivation to go higher here. Now this stuff is a little bit smaller. Still nice though. It's still 100 orders, 140 orders. But they came down, transacted 980. This could be a liquidity grab lower to come back higher. But who knows? Who knows? He may know. Who knows? Options trader may know. Now, the big difference between the lower liquidity and the higher liquidity is that this stuff is recently managed and actively managed. We see it coming on and off. And this stuff down here is just open that's been there for a while. So the stuff that's actively managed is more tailored to the current environment, and that's why I'm kind of tipping my hand here to 14,000. However, if I see a 15-minute top wick off this level, I'll short this baby down to the low of the day. What's the name of the book that you recommend that changed the way you think about money? Psychology of Money. Not a trading book. It's just the book to cage your thinking on exactly what you said, how to think about money. Does red mean it's sell orders? No. So this is a heat map. So the denser the amount of orders, the denser the I guess the line there. And you could adjust that to your own personal preferences. And if there's one thing, if you're going to continue to follow the channel and follow my streams, there's one thing I try to do. I'm not always successful at it. The one thing I try to do is talk in probabilities based on what I'm seeing. I try not to think, all right, well, I need to short the highs. I need to, just because we're at the highs. Now, the best time to short it is at the highs. The best time to buy it is at the lows. Sometimes you catch flack for that because everyone wants it to go up and up and up, or down, down, or down, depending on positioning. But I try to think in terms of, if I see this, this is what I'm going to do. If I see this, this is what I'm going to do. So from here, 14,000 up to 1410 after a liquidity grab. But if this starts to fail, this will be a triple top off 14,000. And if I see an influx of volume and manage liquidity lower, or if they take this off and move it down, so if they X this out, take it off and come down, then I'll be looking for lower here, and I'll short the crap out of this baby, especially as precipitous as a sell-off would be in that case because of the big pump on NASDAQ. I mean, heck, NASDAQ's up 400 points from yesterday. It's crazy. Putting on 400 points in less than 24 hours is quite substantial. Yeah, I will. Here's another sell-off right here. We got 13,982. Maybe come on down 975 there. All right, I just got a notification on my VIX. Smoke alarm. Just tripped to the upside, so VIX just spiked upwards there on this move down. A little bit of a drop there, nothing crazy. $9.85. Now, what am I looking for? Any kind of liquidity shift lower. I don't see anything just yet. Just a little bit of a pressure off of 14,000 again. Small uptick in volume. Nothing crazy. Very difficult to call that a volume spike. Just yet. How do I incorporate VIX into my strategy? VIX is a 30-day outlook, approximately, on the option chain for the S&P. So I use VIX to tell me option chain positioning. In my opinion, the options chain, or to dig deeper into that, the short positioning of dealers on the options chain is absolutely crucial in determining movement of the market. Because if a dealer is hedging their portfolio using options on the S&P, then that can give you some sort of sentiment. And if we start to come up on larger short strikes on the S&P, you could start to play around that. If you start to see the positioning of the VIX move up and down, you could start to play around that. Now, is it exactly 1-to-1 ratio inverse? No. If I see a big green on the VIX, I'm not going to immediately look for downside. It's just a notion of, hey, there's some positioning on the option chain to make the VIX spike a little bit. There's certain movement of the VIX I look for. If those precipitous sell-offs, if I see a green early spike on the VIX that's sold off and the VIX goes to red in the end of the day, and I use the term sell-off liberally there just because there's no volume on the VIX. I know that, but I'm just whatever, lack of a better term. But if I see the VIX coming off aggressively and make a green to red move, that's a hard tailwind for the market, as the positioning for the market rolls off to is conducive to the upside to the market. And it's just basically the macro moves. I don't look at every little candle of the VIX. I don't plot the VIX. I don't chart the VIX. With the VIX, I look for the overall movements, the macro moves of the day, and that'll kind of give me some notion of what the market's going to do, or how supportive of a move I am in that move. I want to join the Discord. Is there a problem with PayPal? Shouldn't be. Shouldn't be. Let me know if you have an issue, or you can shoot me a DM in the Discord. What do I think about the new VIX 1D? In my opinion, I mean, I won't even say, I don't even have an opinion on it. It's not something I use. I've tried to look at it every now and then. The moves are so egregious on it, it doesn't give me much value at this point. Now, not to say it won't give me value in the future. I just haven't had the time to really invest in looking at that as a analytical vehicle for me right now. From the little time I have spent looking at it, the moves that it makes are obvious moves. Like, it should do that when I see this. So it doesn't give me much value. And as many tools as I'm tracking right now, I have to be very selective with what I apply to my situational awareness. At some point, something is distracting. Yeah, definitely. Appreciate the question, though. A press conference is over today. What do they talk about? And we listen to that press conference. Outlook on NVIDIA and tech. AI. Everything we're seeing here is based off AI and how it's going to change the game. And from what I'm seeing, it looks promising. So, the biggest question I have is, do I need to add NVIDIA to my portfolio at these levels? But I'm not going to chase anything. Big green right here. Coming up on the top of the hour, I do have to sign off right at the top on YouTube here. So if you have any questions, let me know. If I missed a question, then please, you can shoot me a DM. I'll be happy to help you out and answer. And then, of course, if you want to join the server, links down in the description of the video will help you do just that. So maybe I should name my name Rajetski NVIDIA. There you go. Do it. Do it. The SS NVIDIA. I'm sure there is an SS GameStop out there. Second one. All right, so see that? That was a red rejection, but what did we not see on that? On this red candle here, what did we not see? A volume spike, baby. We didn't see that type of volume, so that is not a qualified reversal. Right here. Very low volume. I mean, we did have a slight uptick, but look at that. Now look at that. Boom. Right up to R1. Beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. What did the volume do on that one? Liquidity. VIX came all the way back off. So the VIX just hit both of my alerts there, top and bottom. And now we're squeezing. Right through there. Look at that. Right through 1410. What the crap is happening? So that's the blow off top right there, right through 1410. That's qualified for a boom L. Nicely done. Nicely done. So what had happened there? What happened there? I know your first indication is to look for news, but what happened here? We grinded right up against top liquidity. We grind right up against supply. The sellers did not do their job. They didn't come in with sell pressure. No volume whatsoever came in. So what happened? Low volume test right into this area. No spike. Time for liftoff, baby. You pull back on the stick, max throttle afterburner, and you do a tactical ascent. You're going to pull about 9 Gs into the floor. Then you roll inverted, pull back, and then you roll back over. That's how you do it. It's easy peasy. Anyway, hope you all enjoy this. I do have to sign off. Thank you for hanging out with us. Hope you enjoyed a little bit of what I saw to make this bullish move happen on the NASDAQ Bookmap to wipe out 1410, and we're still going. Flying up to 1410, and here we go to 14050. Love y'all. Come join us out next Thursday, 1 o'clock. I'll see you then. I'm out. See you.